Howdy guys, Hotone's Brilliant Ampero. I love this little thing. If you guys have been following my channel for a while, you'll know that I adore this little box of wonderfulness. Now, they've just come out with a new firmware version, which is firmware version 3.0, and I think it's a bit of a game changer because it answers one of the questions which I was asked when I did the full demo of this little box of tricks, which was, can you move the modules around? At that time the answer was no. Now the answer is a definite yes, and I was able to get that sound that you heard in the intro clip, that very kind of Robin Trows type of thing going on, via moving some of the modules around, and that was brilliant. It was an absolute fantastic way to create that sound. So I'm gonna give you a quick walkthrough of how to do a firmware update on this little box of wonderfulness, and how I got that sound, how I got that kind of Trowers Hendrixy type of uni-vibey sound, which I couldn't have done previously. Well, I could have done, but I wouldn't have had all the modules in the correct place, etc, etc. So I'll walk you through that. Let me plug this in and show you how I did it.
Okay, before you do anything, back up all of your presets if you've made some in your Ampero by connecting it to the editor. I've already upgraded to the firmware and the 1.2.1 editor, but the procedure is the same. Open up the editor, go to export, click export all patches, and it will save them as a PRST file. So I'm going to just overwrite my current file. So I'm going to press OK, and then I'm going to find where it is on my computer, which is on my Ampero presets, and I've named it J Ampero June 19. So very creative name. Right, I'm just going to press save, and it's going to ask me to replace. I'm going to replace. And that's it, it's done. It saved all the presets. Now this is really important because when you install the 3.0 firmware, it's going to wipe out all of your presets. So all of these presets which I've done on the Ampero, they would be wiped out when I put the new firmware on there. So really important point. Alright, once you've done that, go to the Hotone website, head over to support and software, click on Ampero, and you'll have the options to download the software here. So you want the editor 1.2.1 and the firmware version 3. Now when you download these, don't install the editor initially, just install the firmware via the editor that you have. So if you're running the 1.1.1 editor, then use that to install the firmware. And the reason for that is because the Ampero on 3.0 firmware will not work with the previous editor. You have to have 1.2.1 installed. But the procedure to do it is to install the firmware first and then install the editor, start up the editor. But for now, we're just going to download the software. So I'm just going to click the links, and my Mac is going to automatically download the software. Alright, the software has downloaded and I've put them into this folder just called Ampero, and I'm going to unzip both of these files, and it's going to bring up two folders with the same names. Now the folder which says Ampero Editor is obviously the editor software. We're going to install that in a minute, but first we're going to go over to the MP100 Ampero file, which is the firmware. This is the bin file that you're going to need when you do the firmware update. So when you're ready to install the new firmware, make sure that your Ampero is connected to your computer or your Mac via the USB connection there. And there's a couple of buttons that you're going to need to click in order to put the Ampero into firmware update mode. Basically, you have to have the unit switched off. Then you have to click the number 3 button, the control button, and the menu stroke value all at the same time, and then turn on the unit. Now the way I do this is using my thumb on the number 3 then I use my finger and this part of my hand to click the control and the menu stroke value at the same time. So if I click these all down together and then switch on the unit, it's going to give me this message saying, are you sure to update your firmware? Cancel or yes. And I've already done the update on here, so I'm not going to click yes, but I'm going to show you on the screen how to do the update. So in order to do the update, you need to go to the Ampero editor screen here and then just click the update button. Now it's going to give you a warning to save all of your presets, because all of the presets will be erased after the firmware update. So like I mentioned, do that first of all before you do anything. I'll click continue now, and then it gives you a second warning saying please make sure you properly back up all of your presets. And if you've created some really cool presets, please do this because you will lose them otherwise. And then click continue again, and then it's going to ask you to look for the bin file. So I'm going to navigate over to this MP100 file which is on my desktop, and I put it in a folder called Ampero. And then I'm going to click on this file, the bin file, and then click open. I'm not going to do that right now because I've already installed the software. The firmware update's already done on my Ampero. When you click this, it'll basically go into a screen showing the update process, and it takes about 5 minutes for the update to happen. Alright, once the firmware is updated, before you switch your Ampero on again, go over to the Ampero editor setup, double click the Ampero editor setup installation, go through the process, and this only takes about a minute or so to install. It literally is this quick. That's it, it's done. Now I'm going to open up the Ampero editor again. Now remember, you need the 1.2.1 editor installed in order for the Ampero to communicate with your computer again. So make sure that you install this before you switch your Ampero on again. So if I switch my Ampero on now, it will connect to the editor. You can see the nice lights going on the software, the wonderful software here. And there you go, it's reading my Ampero. Yay! There we go. Now there is a way to change the effects blocks on the Ampero now, which I'll show you in a second. But you'll notice that you've got this additional thing here which says manage signal chain, and if you click that, it's actually going to let you move all of these around. So I've already moved around FX3 to before the amplifier, but it's normally here. But let's say I don't need these, I want some more effects after the amp. I can actually move them around now, and in fact I can move everything anywhere I want. If I want the EQ at the beginning, if I want the amp right at the end, after the reverb, sorts of kooky things like that I can do. I'll just press cancel for now. So really intuitive and easy. I really like this software because it is so easy to kind of navigate. It tells you everything, it gives you all of your parameters. It's easy to choose effects, shows you what they are, gives you an explanation of them, and it makes it really fun and easy to actually create patches and presets in the Ampero. Alright, like I said, you can do this on the Ampero as well. I'm going to show you that now. And it's just as easy to edit the patches and the patch placement on the Ampero itself. All you need to do is go to edit, and then whichever module you want to change around, you just need to double click it. So let's say I want to move this FX3 patch back to its normal position, which is after the EQ. So I'll double click it, and it's a touch screen, so you can double click straight onto the screen, and you'll see this red box coming around it. Now I can use the menu stroke value knob to actually move it around. So if I want to move it back to, let's say, here after the EQ, I can do that, press the menu value, and it's placed there. And you can do this with any of the patches. So let's say I want FX2 next to FX3, same thing. Really, really quick and easy to do.
Alrighty, it's all installed, and I'm going to show you what I did to get this kind of Trowers Hendrixy type of sound. Wanted to use the Univibe. It's just a great sounding effect, which I love using. But you know, in my mind, the Univibe's always got to go in front of the amp. And I had 3 modules, or I had 2 modules originally, so I could have like, let's say, the Univibe plus a Tube Screamer, but I couldn't have a compressor, a Univibe, and a Tube Screamer all going at the same time in front of the amp. Moving the blocks around allowed me to do that. So I had this basic kind of, you know, rock sound. Nice sound. It's basically a Soldano SLO amp model called the Solo 100 on the Ampero, and I'm on the crunch channel with the gain at 70%. And I actually had it dialed in with just a compressor in the beginning. That was actually turned off most of the time. It was loaded in there, didn't use it. Tube Screamer, just a general green pedal, which is lovely sounding. The amplifier itself, noise reduction. The cab is the Soldano 412, the Soloist 412 as they call it, using a condenser U87 microphone on it. You can see the position of the microphone there as well. A bit of EQ, just rolling off some of the low end, and I think, am I rolling off anything else? Just a little bit of kind of high mids. And then FX3, actually it was an analog chorus, which was just loaded in there. Lovely sound there. A tube echo, which I love the sound of. Yeah, that's cool. And I had a big reverb just for the sake of it, just because I was just because I wanted it. I don't know. Anyways, this church reverb. If I up the mix. I'll pull that down a little bit there. Alrighty, so wanted to use the Univibe like I said. So what I did was I went to manage signal chain, and now I can pull FX3 to this position here after the Tube Screamer, which is where I wanted the Univibe. You can put it anywhere. This is where it sounded good to me. And then basically I went into this this patch here, FX3, and I found the Univibe, which is called the Minivibe here, and I literally just left it there. So this is the sound without. This is the sound with. Yeah, that's cool. Now I kind of figured I'd put a compressor in there as well, like I said. So I went to the first block here, and there was a compressor loaded up. I just switched it on. And all I did was I upped the sustain. So I wanted that nice kind of sustain so that you could hear the vibe as it went through. Which is gorgeous. Sounds so good. Alrighty, and then what I thought was, actually, because I'm recording in stereo here, I would change the delay to a ping pong, and did that, made sure that it was at the right timing, which is I like it about 450, 470 milliseconds. I'll leave it at 450. Then I turned the trail on. So basically all that means is when I switch it off at the unit, if I was doing manual switching on the Ampero, then the trail would carry on. And now we've got ping pong delay. Yeah. And you know what? Let's change the position of the delay. Let's see how it sounds. I'm going to put it after the Univibe, just for the sake of it, just to have a listen. So it turns into like a mono delay there, but it works really well. That's a pretty cool vibe. Let's put it back where it's supposed to be, in this position here. So then I got my sound. Just wonderful to play around with. So there you go, guys. I wanted to show you that very quickly because it is an awesome addition to this beautiful little multi-effects unit which Hotone have created. So check it out on the Hotone website. I'll leave the link in the description box below, so you can check it out. Have a fantastic day, guys. If you haven't done so already, please do subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification. Also, please do give the video a thumbs up and share it with your friends as well. It is much appreciated, and I shall see you again really soon for another very cool video. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, and here's the track that I played at the beginning again, because it's just vibey and rocky and cool and Robin Trousey and Hendrixy and Univibey. Yeah! Have a great day, guys. See you later.